Welcome to the GetRealWealth.com radio show, where wealth means a lot more than just building a second stream of income with real estate. Listen and learn how 90% of the millionaires in the world use real estate to create a life that most people only dream about. A life that includes good health, family, romance, travel, charity, and all the other parts of a balanced life. Now, here's your host, real estate investor and consultant, Steve Davis.
Good afternoon and welcome to the show. I am your host, Steve Davis, where as always we're here talking about creating a better life for you and your family with a simple little strategy, which is to have a second stream of income. We primarily use real estate, but this works with any business, so we do it with businesses of all types, but primarily groups of single-family homes, apartment complexes, strip shopping centers, storage facilities, you name it. If it produces positive cash flow, we're interested in doing it. And over the last few days, I've spent quite a bit of time talking about the difference between good debt and bad debt. And I wanted to build on that because I got so many emails about it. I'm looking at another one right now from a Katie. And it really is very simple why the poor and the middle class are scared of debt. The reason the poor and the middle class are scared of debt is because they were never taught how to use debt to produce income. They were always taught that debt, now when I say this, bear with me, it sounds stupid. But this is what the poor and the middle class are taught. Debt is for weddings, vacations, wedding rings, jewelry, cars, credit cards. And guess what? They're right. They should be afraid of that type of debt. That is bad debt. Anything that comes out of your earned income is bad debt, and we stay away from it. Now, you'll notice that I didn't say your home. Home is not bad debt if that money is working for you someplace else. Simply put, the poor and the middle class want to pay off their home. That's their big thing. Oh, I'm paying off my home. I put it on a 15-year note. The wealthy, probably the vast majority of them, never pay off their home. That's a little thing called debt equity. It's non-performing money. Your home is valued based on money. So let's say you have a $500,000 home paid in full. You think you're doing the right thing. Wrong. Why would people pay off their home when you're only paying 4 or 5% interest? Why would you pay that off? It's because they don't know how to make more than 4 or 5% rate of return. So to them, that's saving money. I'm saving money. I paid off my house. I'm not paying interest. I'm not paying that 4% interest. Who cares? On my average single-family house, I'm making between 18 and 24% rate of return. Do I care if I was paying 6% even on my home? I'm making 18 to 24, 3 to 4 times as much. It doesn't make sense, does it? But see, the poor and the middle class are never taught how to do that, to make high rates of return. They're taught to put their money in the stock market, buy mutual funds, speculate with gold and silver and garbage like that. And they never learn how to make a high rate of return. So to them, if they only make, and the average American probably makes about a 2% rate of return on their money. When you add in savings accounts, stocks, IRAs, 401ks, you average those things out, it's probably, and then subtract the 4% they're paying on their home. People are making probably about 2% on their money. See why they think paying off their home is smart? Yeah, I'm only making 2% on my money. I can go save 4% by paying off my home. Makes sense. And because of your skill levels, the fact that you did not educate yourself beyond high school or college, and you don't know how to make money, then yeah, paying off your home makes sense. But if you want more out of life, if you want to be a top dog, you want to live life to the fullest, you better learn how to make money. You better learn how to make more than 2% on your money. You got a $500,000 house paid in full. Here's the first thing I would do. I would immediately refinance it, pull $400,000 out, and go invest in $100,000 in 4 apartment complexes that make me 10, 15%, 6 to 15% rate of return, cash on cash, and 50 to 100% rate of return every 2 years, 3 years, something like that. Why would I care if, and you average that out, maybe that's a 35% rate of return annually. Why would you care if you're paying 4% interest on your home mortgage if you're making 35% rate of return on your money? You wouldn't care. And this is the painful part. You know why the poor and the middle class do that? Because it's a vicious cycle. Poor and middle class parents come from poor and middle class grandparents. Poor and middle class kids come from poor and middle class parents. The ignorance, and that's what it is. It's not stupidity. The ignorance is passed on over and over and over again. And they never break free from that poor and middle class category. How could they? They don't have any wealthy friends. They certainly haven't invested in a wealthy coach to teach them. The minute they finished high school or college, they stopped reading, they stopped studying, so they know nothing about building wealth. And they go, hey, Mom, Dad, I know that you're broke and live paycheck to paycheck. What should I do with my life financially? That's what they do. Now, they would never say it the way I just said it, but that's what people are doing. They go out, they only have poor and middle class friends, and they get advice from poor and middle class friends. The average financial planner in the United States makes $65,000 a year. So they're middle class. How can they help you? They can't. Okay, this is the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. We'll talk a little bit more about this and then talk about property locating for a while. Okay, again, it's the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. You're listening to AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas. Thanks for listening. Hi, this is Steve Davis, host of the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Catastrophes happen in the U.S. and around the world on a regular basis, causing tremendous financial difficulty for those unprepared. However, some people are prepared. These are the people with a second stream of income. This month, we are offering a free 2-hour workshop on how to use real estate to build a second stream of income for your family. For reservations, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. We're talking a little bit more about, the difference between good debt and bad debt, and the fact that the poor and middle class, because they don't, their parents don't know how to use it, their grandparents didn't know how to use it, it's just passed on. The ignorance is just passed on over and over again. And then there's people out there promoting it. And it's one person who I respect and really like is Dave Ramsey. But you got to understand that Dave Ramsey is trying to protect people as much as he's trying to help them. And I would argue that I believe in people more than he does. And what I mean by that is I believe that the average person can do outstanding things with their lives. Why? Because I was an average kid, 27, bad credit, no money, and ended up invested in over 4,000 units. He didn't do that. So to him, only very special people should take that risk of using debt. And I'm telling you, that's just not believing in people. It's a low opinion of people as a rule, and he's trying to protect them. But in my opinion, that's harming people like me and people like Don, people like Trey, people like all those. I could go on and list name after name after name of people who had bad credit, bankruptcies, no money, and went on to be incredible investors, incredibly wealthy investors. I've seen it. So to me, to dumb it down and go, all debt is bad, is a disservice to the average person. Because the potential of the average person is so much higher than what they're doing with their lives. So much higher. If they would just get themselves educated. So the rich, every rich person I know, and I don't know every rich person, but I am fortunate enough to know hundreds, maybe even thousands of them, they all use leverage. They all use debt. When I look at the companies that I respect, they use debt. I'm not sure what company out there doesn't use debt. Where did they get the idea that all debt is bad? It's only one place: poor and middle class belief system. So my goal this year is by the end of the year to pick up another $10 million worth of debt. I want $10 million worth of debt. Income producing debt. Does that make sense? Debt that brings me money. Debt that I do not pay, my renters pay. There's good debt and there's bad debt. And the sooner you come to accept that and study or whatever's necessary for you to understand it, the better off you'll be. Because and the other funny one for me, there's no such thing as debt-free real estate. Well, yes, there is. I don't have a mortgage on. Mm-hmm. Do you have taxes? Yes. Do you have insurance? Yes. Do you have maintenance? Yes. You have debt. You owe the taxes. You owe the insurance. You owe the maintenance. There's no such thing as debt-free investing of any type anywhere. There's always expenses. Debt. It always takes debt to make money. Even in my little coaching and consulting group, we have radio costs, we have insurance, we have taxes, we have employees. You say, well, I don't have any debt. Yeah, I do. Radio shows, advertising, employees. There's no successful person out there, period, financially successful person, who doesn't have debt. And these people that run around saying all debt is bad need to really rethink what they're doing, because they're hurting people. by telling them that. Okay, let's talk about property locating for a few minutes, because I'm studying Than Merrill's book, which is without a doubt the best wholesaling book I've ever read. And I've read, I don't know, 15 or more. Without a doubt the best. Than Merrill's Bible of Wholesaling. And he actually reads the audio version himself. This guy communicates so clearly. I don't see how anybody could listen to it and not go out and take action. It is amazing. But his strategies for locating profitable deals are a little bit expanded compared to what I do. You got to remember, I'm a time-sensitive guy. So for me, another word for that is lazy. I don't like to drive through neighborhoods looking for property. I don't like putting in bandit signs. I don't like going down to the courthouse. All those things that take up my time, I hate them all. Yet, in his book, he describes the proper way to use those things. And it's really, really interesting. And I think the book's like $30. The audio was only 16 or something like that. It's a heck of a thing to supplement with a good coach, is reading that book, so check it out. But when I locate properties, I've always leveraged my time by using the old-fashioned, been around for hundreds of years, real estate agent. And people have a tendency to beat me up. They're like, oh, I've tried to work with agents. They're lazy. They're this, they're that. They don't call you back. And the people are absolutely right. Real estate agents are lazy. They don't call you back, blah, blah, blah. But it's not because they're real estate agents. It's because they're human beings. And I don't care what profession it is, there's good and bad agents, good and bad tire guys, good and bad craftsmen, good and bad woodworkers, good and bad roofers. Does it make sense? It's not that realtors are the problem. It's that human beings are the problem. And you have to understand that it's an 80-20 rule, that 80% of the results come from the top 20% of the real estate agents. And then there's the top 20% of the top 20%, or the top 4%, who really make things happen. Just the top 4%. But what if you had a technique to get to that top 20%, and as a result picked up a few of the top 4%? It would make sense to work with real estate agents then. But most people don't ever get to the top 20% because they call 2 or 3 agents, maybe 5. They get negative response, and they give up. They quit calling. What separates me from those people is I never gave up. I knew from being in sales that there were good salespeople and bad salespeople. I had to find the good ones. And I committed to talking to over 200 agents, and with the 30 years between now and then, it may have been 300 agents to come up with 25 that would work with me. And what I was looking for were agents that were turning deals, because the deals that they were turning down were probably the type of deal that I would buy. What deals were they turning down? Well, conventional financing, as a rule, is not going to finance a house that's beat up, missing carpet, missing appliances. So what most agents do, even the good ones, is when they walk into a house and see it's a disaster, They immediately start talking the family into rehabbing the house because it's the only way they're going to be able to sell it. When the family says, well, we don't have the money to do that, they go, well, nice to meet you. I can't help you. So long. That's the house I want. So what I did was I called through, like I said, I would spend about an hour and a half a day, call up 5 to 10 agents a day, tell them what I was looking for, tell them what I was trying to do, and I would say less than one a day, not much less. I probably got one every other day that said, yeah, okay, Steve, makes sense. Next time I find a beat up house, I'll go ahead and get the listing. So here's what I was saying to them. I was saying, look, next time you find a house that's beat up and it's not going to qualify for a conventional loan, so you can't really list it and sell it, why don't you go ahead and get the listing, because I can pay cash, I can get a hard money loan, I can get that deal done. Go ahead and sign a listing agreement, even if it's short, just 30 days, and bring the deal to me. And I lined up 25 or 30 agents that were willing to do that. Okay, we'll talk more after the break here on the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. You can call me at 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV. You're listening to AM 700, the voice of Texas. Real estate accounts for more millionaires in America than any other investment vehicle. This second stream of income can truly change your life. More time for travel and romance, more time for family and fitness, more time for whatever you want to do with your life. To find out how to build this second stream of income, attend our free 2-hour introductory workshop on real estate investing. To reserve a seat, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. We're talking about locating properties, and I probably should have explained this at the very beginning so that you understand why this strategy is so, while it's a tremendous amount of hard work to get it started, you know, you're talking an hour a day calling every day, Monday through Friday. You could do it more than that. You could do it faster than that, but that's what I did. I'm right now, while I'm chatting with you, 25 people looking for real estate. You know, I think I talked about this a little bit on the show yesterday, is I was literally on vacation with my kids and my wife in Mexico having a great time when my phone rings. And they go, yeah, can you get near a fax machine? We got a deal for you. I said, sure. I was on the beach. I'll just run back to the hotel, which was 100 yards away, and get you the fax number. I literally bought an apartment complex in the United States while I was on vacation in Mexico. It took me about 35 minutes to do. Because while I was on the beach playing with my kids, I was 25 people looking for deals. What is that? That's leveraging your time. See, I spent the whole first part of the show talking about leveraging your money through debt. Now we're talking about leveraging your time by using real estate agents to help you find deals. You still want to use, by the way, the other sources: foreclosure listing, probate listings, bandit signs, mail outs. All those things work. But all of those things require what? Your time. And as I've said, I'm a lazy son of a gun. So I figured out how to do it without it taking any of my time. So just one last time, here's what I tell the agent. I go, look, next time you come across a house that's so beat up that you don't want to list it because you know you can't sell it, list it anyway. because I will buy it. Now, once I had my 25 or 30 realtors lined up, do you think all 25 or 30 of them believed me? No. I bet none of them believed me. Because every weekend, what goes on? Some guy or gal comes to town selling books and CDs on real estate investing, and the agents get inundated with supposed real estate investors for the next week. So what did they think I was the first time I called? Just some nut with a set of books and CDs on real estate investing. But at least they gave me the shot. So my first month doing this, I get a call. And he goes, yeah, okay. Steve, you said you want to beat up houses. I don't know if you're going to want this one because it's beat to death. Seller is highly motivated, 4 or 5 months behind on their mortgage or whatever the circumstance was. It's been so long, but it was a highly motivated seller. And I said, okay, send me the information. 5 minutes later, because I just pulled it up on the computer and ran the comparable sales, figured out the exact investor value of it, called him back, said, what's the guy want for it? And I want to say it was like 60 grand. And I said, look, the deal doesn't work unless he's closer to 50 grand or below. We negotiated a couple of times. He finally agreed to the $50,000 price. And I then hopped in my car and drove to the agent's office. We then drove to the property, took a quick look at it, and I wrote the offer. See, that agent would have had to have just passed up on that deal if he didn't have me as a contact. And that's the position you've got to put yourself in if you want to leverage your time, because what do most of you have? You got a full-time job. You don't want to be out there patrolling neighborhoods and doing mail-outs and things like that, even though those things work. Put yourself in that position with 25, 30 agents, and you will find deals every month. I literally turn down deals in my email box every month. Just can't do them. So that's, to me, the ultimate source for deals. Because good real estate agents have two insane skill sets. One is sales. The other is finding deals. If they're good agents, those two skills will stand out. If they've got those two skills, they can get listings and they can sell. They're deadly. You take either one of those away, what about a great salesman who doesn't know how to find deals? They're dead in the water. What about somebody who knows how to find deals but can't sell? They're dead in the water too, for the most part. So when you find somebody that has both of those skill sets, take care of them. And you noticed when I said within 5 minutes I responded, that's how you build credibility with your agents. Let them know, this house is something I want or it's something I don't want within 5 minutes. Then that builds your credibility with the agents. Then when you actually close a deal, guess what? Then, and pretty much only then, they become believers. They become believers. They say to themselves, holy Toledo, this kid or this lady or this man, they were telling the truth. They actually closed a deal. And I'll give you a little tip. What do you do to the other 29 agents? Email them the deal you just did to build credibility. Let them know, hey, Cindy over at Century 21 or Cindy over wherever found me a deal. This is what it was. This is how we closed it. This is how quick we closed it, blah, blah, blah. Please keep me in mind if you come across a deal like this. And you know what those other 29 agents are doing? They're going, holy Toledo, I didn't even think this guy was real. But obviously, he or she is. So that's how I locate deals It's extremely effective, but it takes an extreme amount of work. You know, to call an hour a day for a couple of months, and let's say you hit 5 a day, that's 25 a week, and you need to talk to 200, so that's going to take about 8 weeks. Yeah, about 2 months, and that's about right. It took me about 2 months to pull it off. Now, if you were to call 2 hours a day, you could knock it down to a month, but be careful that you don't overdo it and burn yourself out. I see this all the time at the gym. I see it in real estate investing. Gung-ho, crazy, I'm going to do it all in 1 month type mentality, and they burn themselves out. Don't do that. Slow and steady wins the race, as they say. I prefer quick and steady, but fast and steady there's a problem. I guess that's the word I'm going to use for burning yourself out. Don't try to go too fast. Go quick, but don't try to go too fast to where you burn yourself out. Be very careful. And take a day off if you need to. Don't let yourself get burnt out, but stay on course. Make sure that you stay on course and you keep your goals right in front of you so you know why you're doing this. So any questions about this, give me a call right now, 281-558-5738. It's 281-558-KSEV. You're also welcome to email me. It's asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. All right, let's go to emails. This one came up the other day, but I want to address it again because this is from a Chad. It's about structuring asset protection, and he's been sold a bill of goods, which is you need an LLC. You're not going to believe this, for every house you buy. LLCs are not even necessary for single family. I don't care if you've got 100 of them like I did. You don't need it. You've got 3 layers of protection: management style, insurance, and an LLC or corporation. Guess which one's the weakest? The LLC or corporation. Guess which one's the strongest? Insurance or management style? It's management style. Management style, it's the old, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Insurance is the cure. Management is the prevention. If you run your properties correctly and you follow what I say, which is the minute you buy a property, fix everything. Make it part of the purchase price. Fix everything. Broken sidewalks, broken doors, broken windows, everything. Make the house perfect. Then there's no reason for anybody to sue you. But let's say you do something dumb, and they do sue you. Then you've got $300,000 insurance on every house and $1 million insurance in an umbrella policy over all your houses. You got nothing to worry about. You don't need an LLC. Okay, this is the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. If you've got a question for me, we are coming up on the final segment of today's show. So call me at 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. Thanks for listening. Are you tired of losing money in every down market? Did you know that real estate makes money in both the up and down markets? In fact, we make more money in the down market. Hi, this is Steve Davis, host of the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Yes, we are praying for a down market, and you should know why. To find out why, attend our free 2-hour introductory workshop. To reserve a seat, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. If you've got a question for me, again, this is the final segment of today's show. So if you have a question, you need to call now at 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Let's go straight to the phone lines. We're going to talk to Santos in the Southeast Houston area. He's got a question or comment about the LLC. Santos, thanks a lot for calling in. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How about you doing?
Good, good. How can I help?
Yes, quick question. I got a couple of rental homes right now, right? But I'm trying to look for another one. My question is, should I buy a fixer-upper for $100,000 and spend $30,000 on it, making it perfect, or buy a $160,000 home that's already been fully remodeled, foundation, plumbing, electrical, everything?
Well, that's an easy one.
Out.
The first, I'm going to assume the ARV on both of those is 160. Is that about right?
Yes.
Okay. In the deal where you pay 160, you've picked up no equity, and your cash flow is going to be low as well because you paid full price for the property. Whereas the one you bought for 100 and put 30 in, you picked up $30,000 equity the day you finish that rehab. Your net worth goes up $30,000, and that thing's going to cash flow probably $150 or $200 a month more than the other one. So my preference is always the rehab.
Okay, because I was thinking of putting $30,000 on the 160, and then leave it at 130, and then rent it for $1,500, maybe $1,600, and pick up $200 to $300.
Yeah.
Of income. Or
yeah, I'd just rather see. You lose that $30,000 equity. It's just not a good deal. Now, Santos, do you know how to use hard money loans?
Yes, I have a lender in place, and I've been approved for 160. I'm just
Excellent.
looking for the right home, or I can put some of my money and buy a $100,000 home, and then put $30,000 on it.
Yeah, let me see. 160 times 0.75. Yeah, see that your deal would only be the rehab would only be $10,000 out of pocket plus closing costs, whereas the 160 is going to be 20% down because you're not going to be able to use a hard money loan on that. You have to have rehab.
Well, I can use this lender. He they approved me for 160, and they said just look for the home. The only thing is I got to keep it for a year at 10% interest. That's where they get their.
Ooh, that's a long time. Santos, email me. I'm going to send you a different hard money lender that does not require you to hold it a year. You only have to hold it until the rehab is done. Then you refinance into conventional. Yeah, that's not a good deal, Santos. Please email me.
Okay.
All right, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate the call. Take care.
All right, bye-bye. Mm-hmm.
And Santos, my email is asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. I use Capital Concepts. I use Noble Mortgage and a couple others. All of them do not require you to hold it a year. As soon as you're done with your rehab, which is 1 month, maybe 2 months, you should refinance it down to 3%, 4% interest rate, not 10% for a year. So Santos, that is not a good deal. That sounds like a private lender, what it sounds like. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or email me. It's asksteve@getrealwealth.com, asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Okay, how will COVID-19 change the average rents? This is from Rick. Rick, it's going to cause rents to go up because people are going to lose their homes. There's going to be more renters. And if they continue to screw landlords like they have been, guess what's going to happen? They're all going to raise their rents. The government is incompetent to do really anything. I've never seen them do anything efficiently or effectively except raise a military. But rents are going to go up. They're not going down. They're going to go up. There's going to be more people needing to rent. There's going to be more people wanting to rent. And they may just force us to raise the rents because they didn't pay us, during COVID. We didn't get our money during COVID. We're going to raise our rents and get our money somehow. It's brutal, but that's business. Government doesn't seem to understand that. Okay, phone lines are open at 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. Next one is Texas rental question. This one comes from Bigger Pockets. Bigger Pockets is the forum, biggerpockets.com. Great place to ask questions, get ideas. This one's kind of interesting because he's asking, and the reason I wanted to bring it up is this is why forums are misused by people. He's asking legal questions on a forum. Don't do that. Don't cheap yourself out into thinking that a forum or a radio show replaces a good coach, attorney, and CPA. They do not. You're going to have those team members. And this guy's asking, do I need one carbon monoxide detector or two? Do I need a lead paint disclosure or not? What about the disability requirements? These are all legal questions, Anil. And you are going to have to consult an attorney to get these answered correctly based on the laws in Texas. Do not go to a forum and ask legal questions. Period. I guess that's my rant. Don't do it. Okay, next question. How do you verify income? This one's easy. You've got to call. When they sign the lease application, they're signing a release of information as well. And that allows, you may have to email it to their employer before they'll give you the information. But you simply call or email. I think I've always called. I've had to email the permission, but it's always been a phone call. And there's something that people don't do that they should do. You won't always get an answer, but I always ask, okay, I want to know, does this person make 3 times the rent? If the rent is $1,500 a month, I want to make sure that they make $4,500 a month or more. And likelihood of continued employment. I ask the HR person, what's the likelihood of continued employment? And like I said, not everyone will answer it, but most of them go, oh yeah, he's great, no problems. That's what I want to know. So it's a phone call, but make sure that you get that release of information signed before you call their employer. Now, tricks. They give you a fake employer. You call the number. Somebody not so credible answers the phone. You don't feel comfortable. Wait about 4 hours. Call back. And in most cases, what's going to happen is the first time you call, it's Joe's Tire Shop. The second time you call, it's hello. Because it wasn't really Joe's Tire Shop. So there are some tricks to it, but not too many really. If you're screening your tenants correctly, and you do this follow-up, just like I described, email the HR department or email the owner if it's a small company, then make a phone call, the likelihood that it's a real business is much, much, much higher compared to just making a phone call. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, and you are listening to AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas. Next email. This is a bad. Oh, this is cool. Anonymous wants to let me know he's with a different group, but he refinanced his home, pulled out money, and bought how many? Looks like 8 unit, 4, 12, close to 20 units. 20, we'll call them houses. Because I can't tell what it, I think he bought 8 at once, 4 at once, and then 8 or 10 more. It may be more than 20. And that it works. He's just trying to give you some encouraging words. It does work. I wonder if he mentions his rate of return on these houses. Nope. I'd be interested to hear what your rate of return is on those houses. Because if it's, like mine, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, who cares if you're paying 4% on your house? All right, this has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day.
This has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Please remember that this show is for entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as legal, tax, or investing advice. Always get a professional opinion before making any investment decision. To find out about the mentoring and consulting at Real Wealth Academy, visit GetRealWealth.com and attend one of our free introductory workshops on real estate investing. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thanks for listening and have a great rest of your day.